very special guest, Sharonda Armstrong. We're live. What's up, everybody? It's Uncooked Podcast with your boy DB. You know why I'm here. I have a very special guest, Sharonda Armstrong. I'm going to bring us a little black excellence today.
Hi, how are you doing
How
today?
you doing today, dear?
I'm doing great.
Okay, so I like your message. You are very inspiring, encouraging, uplifting, and so many questions I have.
Okay,
But
great.
give the viewers just some of your background as to where your story started. And even before that, let people know like exactly what you do.
Okay, so as you mentioned, my name's Sharonda Armstrong. I'm a native of New Orleans, Louisiana. Currently, I live about 45 minutes away in a town called Slidell. And I started Go Queen last year in 2019. I actually had another business about 10 years ago, but I was back in the workforce and I wasn't truly happy. So even though I was moving up with my 9 to 5, I just had something stirring inside of me. And I'm like, I really want to put my energy into something that I really had a heart for. And I always connected with people. And just from past experiences, I just went through some bad things with my family and bad relationships. I'm like, you know what? I can empower other people. And so I started out just doing what everyone does, doing little inspirational quotes. And I would get a lot of people that would inbox me, and they weren't even my own quotes, but they would be like, wow, I live for those quotes every day, and you really make me feel good. And I was like, wow, like I need to start using my own skills. So I started writing my own things. And one day a light bulb went off. I had wrote a post last February or so just telling women, single women, hey, don't settle. You're the privilege. You're the prize. You're the package. All of a sudden, it was literally like a light bulb moment that happened like the next day. Like, put that on a shirt. I never had any desire prior to that into t-shirts, but something just told me, put that on a shirt. And I started the Go Queen brand. And in August of last year, I decided to take that further into a podcast just to let people know more about me and the message. And I've been going off ever since, just trying to connect with people and promoting self-love. Go love yourself is one of my favorite sayings. I say that at the end of every podcast episode. And self-love is truly important to me. I just feel like self-love really is the key to just success, the key to living a healthy life, the key to following your dreams. I just feel like once you have that self-love and self-confidence, you can go anywhere in life.
Okay, I like there's something that when I was reading your bio, it's something that you touched on that I feel like is kind of taboo. When you talked about growing up, and I guess everybody feels like they have a somewhat toxic family environment, but you got specific and said you were bullied by one of your siblings.
Yeah.
So for people that are in that situation that might be in a toxic family environment, I think I had a pretty good family environment overall. I mean, there were a few things I wish were better, but overall, I don't think it was too toxic. But I have some friends that have come through some pretty rough things. So, what do you say to your fans and your following and to people that are looking, excuse me, that are looking to you for ways to cope with those toxic family traits? Because your bio also went on to say that affected you even into getting into a relationship later. So how do you help with that?
What I always tell people is, number one, I know it's with African Americans, I think another taboo subject is actually therapy. I feel like a lot of us as African Americans, we do have a religious background, I would say, for the most part, and we're taught to pray things away. I don't knock prayer, but I do feel like every person should try therapy. I feel like therapy is something that should be looked at as something as regular as going to the dentist for your annual checkup. It's like just checking in. And I just feel like I would suggest for people that have been through things similarly, like what I've experienced, that it is very good to speak to a non-biased professional, because they will help you process those things and it will help you not internalize it and to move forward. It's just really important. If we all have experiences that we've gone through in childhood, some bigger, episodes, some smaller, but I feel like everything that we've experienced, it does affect us in some way. And once I became an adult, I just realized that a lot of things that I experienced in my childhood, in my upbringing, I had brought it over into my adulthood. And I was feeling like I was in like a toxic cycle, and I really wanted to get help in stopping that. And I feel like it was something that I would have never been able to do by myself. So I always promote this. It's something we talk about on my podcast a lot. The Q Chat, We always talk about mental health and anxiety and therapy, quite frankly, for African Americans, and trying to erase any stigmas involved in therapy. And I always promote speaking to a therapist on issues just to get it out so that you can live a healthy life.
Well, so let me ask you this question, and because a lot of people, myself included, a little bit, so I'm not going to act like I'm better than anybody else. But some people might say, I'm not crazy. I don't need no therapist.
Yeah.
I don't need no medicine. But you have people that actually are suffering from depression and that really need a therapist, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So for you and for people watching, at what point, and even if this was your experience or not, just let me know, were you like the light bulb went off, like I need to talk to somebody? Like, was there an event, or how did you cope with that?
I think with myself is when I kind of felt like anger towards things that had happened such a long time ago that I feel like the average person may not have held on to. I just feel like if something has happened to you in life and you find yourself bringing that over, after so many years, that's when you really should address it, because you'll never have any level of peace. I just feel like, incidences that's happened in our lives, there should be like an expiration date on how long it has affected you. So I feel like when that time keeps going past, the expiration date, it is time to seek some help. And one thing too that you mentioned, a lot of things that we talk about with on my show, like I had a Black male therapist on, like we had dedicated the month of June, even though it is centered around women, as we discussed off camera.
Yeah.
But the month of June and everything that was taking place with George Floyd, I wanted to dedicate that month to Black males. So that entire month I had Black male guests. And since we talk about mental health a lot, I had a point to have a Black male therapist, and he was on there because I just feel like when we think of a therapist, we really don't think of a Black male, that's tatted up. He has a sleeve and everything, and he's very down to earth. It's just something we don't necessarily think about. So it was extra important for me to have someone that down to earth on there. And one of the things we discussed was taking away the stigmas and like the labels. Like in our mind, we think, oh, well, that sounds crazy. Changing the narrative of even the word crazy. Like just like you said, a lot of us, I think it's a big stigma regarding depression, anxieties. There's certain things like we kind of label like, oh, that's just not something that we deal with. So there's a lot of stuff that we just talk about erasing stigmas and just also not having any shame on addressing issues or seeking professional help. It's just really important to not have any shame or any stigmas involved. So that's something that we talk about a lot.
So my next question is, and I can, this subject does touch with me too, because like I said, I have things that I've been through as a child that, still doesn't sit well with me. I'm a only human. But what would you say to the parents of the young ones? Like, how do you kind of nip that in the bud with the kids so that they don't have to grow up in that? Like, what do you look for to say, maybe this is an issue, so you can kind of address it while they're young instead of them growing up then having to do therapy?
Well, the ironic thing is I'm a parent too. I have 3 children, and that was another thing that actually motivated me to seek therapy, because I realized when I grew up, there were certain things I saw with my parents that always said, oh, I'll never have that type of marriage. And then fast forward, I had that type of marriage, But the only difference was I was in a new generation where it's like, hey, if things don't work out, you get divorced, So that was the only difference in how I was raised. But on the flip side, I realized that I was a single parent raising my children in a divorced environment, which was something I actually had no experience in. So even to this day, I realized, there's certain things I literally cannot relate to with my kids, because I grew up in a 2-parent home, whether it was perfect or not, and they are not. So I feel like with parenting in general, one of the most important things is we can break generational curses, and that's something that we have to have a clear understanding of. We don't have to bring everything over into our children's childhood and upbringing. As far as the kids and noticing certain things that it's like, okay, I should address this now so they don't become, these adults with these issues. I think it's important to have a good rapport with your kids. Of course, there's a balance where, you want them to understand, hey, I'm your parent. I'm not your little friend. That's a little terminology.
I remember they say that to us all the time. I'm not one of your little friends now.
Right, but not one of your little friends. But, just to have that balance between not being their little friend and, being that listening ear. Having your children comfortable so that they can come to you and talk to you. And also just make sure that you initiate those conversations with your children so that a lot of times I feel like as parents, we do have the weight of taking care of our children financially, making sure they have everything that they need material wise. But it's good to connect with your children so that you can also give what they need emotionally and that you really do know your kids so that you can notice changes in behavior. You can notice that they make any type of self-deprecating comments, things like that. Just try to be really open to your children so you can notice if there's any different patterns or anything so that you can kind of jump on things, because a lot of kids now they're growing up in an environment that's way different than how we grew up. And
Right.
now, because of the state of the world, now we got to top and add the pandemic to them. So now a
Right.
lot of them, just their education, not being able to see their friends, it's just something
Right.
that none of us have experienced. So children, they have like a very delicate upbringing that I think is way different than how we were raised. So I just would say to ultimately answer that question, just to be aware of your kids. That way you can notice any differences and also just have that good line of communication with your children, make them comfortable so that they're able to come to you. And kids don't come to you about everything, that's natural, but have that rapport with your kids so that you can take time to talk to them. Communication is the key, I feel, with parenting.
Good. That's good stuff. So that's really good stuff. I don't have any kids, but that's good to know. And I'm sure there's thousands of people that will see this that definitely have kids. So tell us a little bit about your book. So you have a book on Amazon. Tell us little bit about that.
So what I did a few months ago, I started making these IG posts, just random posts, and I would call them the Daily Crown Jewels. So I would take
Okay.
different quotes. Sometimes I take a quote from Tupac,
Okay.
and I would post it each day. And if it was a Monday, I would label that day. Like today is Manifestation Monday, so I would make that quote. I post it, and then in the comments, I would go on and on, just giving my extra 2 cents on this motivational quote. And I started posting them every day because I was getting such a good response. So then finally I was like, because I majored in English, I was like, okay, Trina, you need to write your own quote, and post that and also, just reiterate and go further in the actual comments. So eventually with these Daily Crown Jewels, people were really expecting them every day. If I didn't tag certain people, they would inbox me, oh, you didn't tag me on the quote today. They were really waiting for it, and I was getting a really good response. And someone had actually inboxed me one time and they were like, well, you need to get that affirmation book going. And ironically, when they said it, it was already on my mind. So I
Okay.
said, I'll just start off small for now. I have a lot of aspirations to write actual memoirs and things like that. But in the meantime, I'm like, hey, I'll just go ahead and do like this simple 7-day motivational guide, break it down with my Daily Crown Jewels. And it's literally like a guide. And my whole hope and goal when I wrote it is that I want someone to literally pick it up. Okay, I'm going to turn to Tuesday and see what she wrote about Tuesday and apply this. And even though I only broke it down for 7 days, it's very generic as far as the self-love mantras and affirmations so that you really can apply it every single day. So that was my goal, to just literally have that extra pickup, especially right now. Everyone's handling the pandemic in different ways. So I just really want to have a little piece for people to have that motivation every single day.
I'm gonna put your skills to the test because
Okay.
you talk a good game, but we got to have you back it up now.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you a situation I run into, and I'm not naming any names. And of course, anybody that sees this is a situation I run into that it breaks my heart to hear it, but I hear it all the time, and it relates to Black women. Okay. So as from having a business consulting firm, I consult with small businesses. We talk about how to build your brand, blah, blah, blah. Now, I've noticed that I've run into a fair amount of Black female entrepreneurs that are afraid to put their face on their brand because they are afraid of negative repercussions or being stereotyped as unprofessional Black business, or just not getting or feeling like them being a Black female business owner is going to hurt their business or hurt their sales. So what would your advice be? Maybe not even so much from a business standpoint, but from a self-love and self-confidence standpoint, what advice would you give to someone in that situation?
The first thing I would say is there is literally no one else in this earth that that has what you have. We're all unique. Okay? Like
True.
there's no one else on this earth that's like Darren or that's like Shriner. We're literally one of a kind. So why not let people experience that? Like you're literally one of a kind. There's no one else with your DNA unless you're a twin. But there's no one else on this earth with your DNA, with everything that is you. And I feel like this. And with my business, I know someone asked me one time, well, I know she get a good reception because I feel like I am the face of my business. So that's why I, like you read my bio. It was pretty transparent, why not? And that's why I always dive back into self-love. Love yourself. Don't even think about who's not going to receive you. Whoever doesn't receive you is not your audience anyway. I say that a lot. I say it on the podcast. If they don't receive you, that's fine. Bless them and move on. That's not your audience. Your audience is going to receive you. Your audience is going to think you're beautiful. They're going to think that you're one of a kind too, and they'll receive you. Now, as far as the whole stereotypical unprofessional Black woman stereotype, you can only fall into a stereotype if you fit that stereotype. You know what I'm saying?
Good. That was so good. Yes. Yes. That's so true.
Your business is not going to be a stereotypical business, sister girl business, if you don't portray that anyway, if you don't fall into that portrayal. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So I just feel like this is a time right now that I tell people to just go for it. Like take all those fears. That's just nothing but fear to talk you out of stuff anyway. But like I said, that, and if you are afraid of falling into a stereotype, to me, that's more motivation to put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm one of a kind. I have a professional business and I can represent what I feel Black women represent every day. Like we're not those stereotypes. That's one of the things too that I love about my platform, because I feel like we break stereotypes as well. We're not what you assume. So I just feel like it's up to that individual to not even let that negativity play into them.
So with your business and having the daily affirmation book and then having your podcast, you have your clothing line, what has been difficult for you in business as a woman and as a Black woman? And how have you kind of overcome that? Because everybody has their moments, even me, where it's like, man, this sucks. Last month was the best month I ever had in business. August, nosedive. So it's like, so how do you navigate dealing with the hard times as a real person?
Well, there's definitely ups and downs. With me, I just keep pushing, and I just keep having this belief, okay, like I know this is going to hit the level that I want it to hit. I know I'm going to reach the people that I want to reach. I just keep that mindset because I definitely have some days where I'm like, how in the world am I going to do this? I'm going to be 65 and homeless because I decided to start my own business. I have no retirement plan. Like what am I doing? I walked away from a 9-to-5 to do this. Like, trust me, I definitely had that little, that negative person on my shoulder. Like, you sure you should have did this? Right. But that's when you have to really believe in what you're doing. And I really do believe in what I'm doing. There's a lot of people that put self-love, trust me. But I also don't let oversaturated markets like intimidate me, because once again, I feel like everyone's unique and there's a place for everyone. Just like podcasting, there's a trillion podcasts, but I love my podcast, and I'm excited about doing it. I love being on here. It's like everyone has their own stage, is how I look at it. So I just, I definitely have those moments where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not reaching the audience I want to reach, but I just go back to my, drawing board and I just think of some ideas, to move forward and connect. And I just keep pushing, basically. So and I would say that to anyone, because we all have those moments. That's just the life of an entrepreneur, actually. Like that famous meme going around. Oh, the moment you left your 9-to-5 and now you realize you're working until like 3 a.m. and the person
doing way more work.
How it is. But I feel like one thing about entrepreneurship, everyone that has a business is something that they really put their heart and soul into, so you nurture it and you care for it, so that's what just keeps me going, because this is something I've created and it's something that I'm proud of.
I saw this meme, and I take memes with a grain of salt, but I saw one that actually kind of stuck with me, and it was a picture of the supermarket, and I use this in my consultation, so people that are watching me that have had consultations are like, oh, he's using that again. But it was a picture of the bread aisle, and it was saying, hey, just because you're another business, these Pillsbury sells their bread, Wonder Bread sells theirs, so on and so forth. Toyota doesn't stop selling cars because of Ford. So you have to just jump in there and mix it up with everybody else and bring your A game. So I do run into some people that feel like, oh, everybody's doing it already, but it's 330 million people in the United States. There's more than enough money for you to get a little bit.
Right.
So here, and I'm gonna pop it up here for you.
Okay, well, just to let people know, as I mentioned, I am from New Orleans, Louisiana, so we do things a little differently. So this is one of my most popular sayings, which is "Go love yourself." So since I am from the New Orleans area with that Cajun background, we tend to do the EAUX on things. So this means go as in GO, but it's pronounced GEAUX. And that's actually the name of my website too. It's Go Queen, GEAUX, GoQueen.com. And if you go to that website, not only can you purchase that 7-day motivation, but you'll see the empowerment boutique. I do call it an empowerment boutique because all my teas, they're not just regular teas, in my opinion. They have statements that are empowering, every single one of them. And I actually do have a few shirts for Kings. So just as for any males that I definitely encourage you guys to go to. And with that page, I have a blog as well. I'm very transparent on the blog. You can actually listen to the podcast through the website, but in addition, the podcast is streaming on Apple iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Google, all the major streaming platforms. And I publish brand new episodes actually every single Tuesday. I don't do my podcast in season, so there's fresh content every Tuesday. And like I said, my main focus is just connecting with people. I push self-love a lot. It's super important to me. I say it almost every single day, go love yourself, because I truly stand by it. I just feel like that self-love is what pushes you. I'm also on IG too. I have 2 IG pages. One is the QChat_podcast. That is the IG for my podcast page. And I'm sorry, I don't think I mentioned that my podcast is called the QChat. Q for Q.
Shout it all out. Come on, get it all out. We got here. We got all day. Go ahead.
And my brand IG is I am_Go Queen. So I definitely encourage people to stop by. I'm super interactive with people. I'm just a DM away. So
I like it.
It's super easy to talk to me. Like
I got one more question though before we go.
Before we go, I got YouTube too. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. I'm going to include all the links to all your stuff on here, and I'll send you the video. So don't worry about it. Last question is this though. Okay, so. And I was kind of thinking this actually as you were talking. So, like, your brand is Go Love Yourself, right? How do you love yourself? I know it sounds like a weird question,
right?
But I mean, what? Because I'm left-handed, I'm a Capricorn, so I'm very like black and white. So somebody says, "Okay, hey Darren, go love yourself." Okay, what does that mean? Do I go buy the Lamborghini that I've been wanting, or how does a woman show her self-love? How does a man show himself love? What are some things you do to show yourself love? I'm just curious to hear from your perspective, because I definitely don't have the answer on that one.
Loving yourself means to just understand that you're special and you're valuable, that you mean something. And in addition, if we want to get technical on loving yourself, it's speaking into yourself, definitely erasing any self-deprecation, accepting everything about you, not having any reservations about yourself. And in addition, literally love yourself, take care of yourself,
Yeah, it's true.
Have that self-care Sunday where you shut off everything and you groom yourself, or just relax or meditate. Self-care also means educating yourself. If there's something that you need more knowledge in, go for it. Get that book. Self-love is just feeding into yourself. Whatever makes you the best version of yourself is what I view as self-love. And self-love means also accepting that person that looks back at you in the mirror. Okay, loving every single part of yourself. You don't have flaws, whatever you think that you need to work on, great. But just accept yourself for who you are and just understand that you're special. And I feel like that energy is something that's contagious, but just start within yourself. I just feel like, and I had actually recorded a podcast today.
Oh, we lost you on the audio.
Hear me now?
There you go. We're good.
I'm sorry. I have so many alarms on my phone. I'm sorry. Okay. So, one thing too about self-love I was mentioning, it's just what we expect of others, we should also pour it into ourselves. So if we expect the world to treat us a particular way, be able to give that as well. You know, we
Mhm.
a lot of times we want to receive what we may not necessarily give. So with
Mm,
self-love, just
true.
be the best version of yourself and just understand that you deserve it too. Anything in your life that
Mhm.
may be stressors or things that really are beneath you,
Right.
love yourself. You don't have to have things in your life that's going to push you back, no toxic elements. So
Right.
self-love for me means a lot, but it's
Right.
just
Right.
basically doing whatever it is so that you can live your best life and you can be the best version of yourself.
That's really important. And again, I don't mean to stretch this out any longer,
Mhm,
but I want to talk about this because this is important because I
mhm,
find myself, and I'm sure there's some people that can relate to this too.
mhm.
I'm always in my office. I'm always going, trying to conquer. And
Mhm.
I don't probably take enough time to just say, hey, DB, how about just, unplugging from everything? Because my problem is I don't know how to turn it off. It's like I turn
Right.
it off when I just am exhausted and I can't do anymore.
Mhm.
But that lack of self-love, like you said,
Right.
actually reduces my productivity. I will be more
Right.
productive by stopping to say, hey, this is the time I'm gonna get my, a pedicure or a massage
Right.
or, something like that. So I think that's really important. And I think it can even help you in business. And I don't even have
Yeah.
children. So you told
Mhm.
me you have children, and for people
Mhm.
watching that is especially like a single mother and
Mhm.
also homeschooling the kids now. So I could just
Right.
imagine how it could be difficult for individuals to really show that self-love because you're just
Right.
so damn busy.
Right.
So how do you get around that? You're just so busy. How do you squeeze that in? You know?
And to me, that's another thing, like I mentioned with self love, just understanding that you deserve that time. If that time is just an hour
Mm-hmm.
to unplug and shut off, do it. You know, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
takes to give you a fuller life. And I'm guilty of that sometimes. Like I had a point where I felt like I was really becoming a workaholic and I was working
Yep.
from sun up to sundown, which
Same.
is a part of entrepreneurial life. Don't get me wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I have to realize that I need to shut off sometimes. And yeah, I may not
Yes.
shut off for a full day, hey, but just spending some time to just literally unplug and say, okay, I'm going to take if just an hour to even
Mm-hmm.
sit outside. To me, it's some self care because I've
Mm-hmm.
taken time to have some time for myself. I actually just recently did a blog about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just still take some time to yourself, and it does make you a better business person in a sense
Yeah.
because a lot of times as entrepreneurs we'll drain ourselves, because
Yes.
we love what we do too. And plus,
Mm-hmm.
it is a little different because you don't have that, that boss giving you that check.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you got to earn your
It's a
bread.
little
You got to earn
different.
your money.
Right. We're controlling our career. So it is a
Mm-hmm.
little different. So yeah, you're going to pour extra, but still take that time so that you can be more on it. You know what I'm saying? If you're sluggish all day because you've been working sun up and sun down, it's not giving
Mm-hmm.
you really a full life to pour into that business too. And
Right.
one thing about having a business, you want to get to the point where you're enjoying those fruits of your labor. So
Right.
I just think it's like a fine line. You got to have that balance. Even though I do believe in working on your business, God knows,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
there's
know.
times I have to force myself to get away from my laptop. But I do it. Now don't get me wrong. Like I said, I don't do it all day because like I
Mm-hmm.
have to. My business
Right.
is my baby, and I have to check on it. But just have that balance and just acknowledge that we all need that time.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Sharonda Armstrong, you, my sister, I'm very proud of you and you are crushing it. I want to make sure I get all the links in the description. We're going to share this with all my audience and all my fan base. I'll make sure they see it. And we're just going to keep encouraging and inspiring each other. I appreciate you, sister.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this opportunity. I truly, truly enjoyed it.
No problem at all. So we'll get this wrapped up. And this is one more for the books. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.